Hey guys, what's up? It's Z-Dub Sports Nation. We're back with another video and we're going to go over a bracketology, Zach.
First bracketology in such a long time. We're excited to be back doing this again. We promise to be more consistent. We'll be
Yeah.
back doing some bracketologies again, and we're excited.
Yeah, life got a little hectic for Zach and I late in the semester last year. We found our schedule. We have our groove. Videos are going to come out on the regular. We're here for you guys.
Yeah, let's do it. Let's get to it.
So with that being said, let's get to it and let's start talking some March Madness and let's start talking college basketball. And we'll start as we usually do, Zach. We're going to start with the bubble and let's start with the last four buys. A team on here that stands out to you, Zach, the Pitt Panthers.
Yeah, the Pitt Panthers, just because last night was such a big win over another bubble team, Wake Forest. Hurts Wake a bit, but for Pittsburgh to get that win at home to keep them in the field is big.
Yeah, that's huge. It's a fellow bubble team. So that's one of those games where a win really solidifies your spot. Like not solidifies it, but it keeps you steady, but you lose it and it can hurt and it can make you fall.
Yeah,
So
it's one of those where Pitt and Wake down the line, are both competing for that spot. Maybe, gives Pitt, that slight edge they need. And Pitt's a team that hasn't been to the tournament now in quite some time. So it's cool to see them back in the field.
that'd be nice to see. Looking over at the last four in, we see the Kentucky Wildcats. They're sitting there again, Zach.
Yeah, they fought back. They've been looking great lately. They had the home loss to South Carolina. Everyone thought, wow, this might be the worst Kentucky team we've seen in quite some time, or at least since that year that COVID canceled the tournament. But Kentucky has a big opportunity against Kansas on Saturday.
Big game
At home. I think I don't know. It's gonna be fun. I know me and Will are really looking forward to that game.
They're gonna get a Kansas team that's due. They're due. They have to find if it's do or die almost for Kansas. Well, not do or die, but they need a win.
They need to win. It's just weird to even think about Kansas possibly losing 4 games in a row.
Yeah.
And that's a very real possibility playing at Rupp on Saturday. And so it's going to be an exciting game.
We'll talk more Kentucky in the bracket,
Mm.
but we'll go here to the first four out. And it's almost like the Big 12. You look at it and it's almost like the bottom of the Big 12 standings.
It is. It really is. It's kind of crazy. All these teams, they're going to have plenty of opportunities to play each other and play other teams. So, yeah, this is just a scrum, Big 12 teams here. So, West Virginia, Texas Tech's the true bottom, but, West Virginia got that win against them yesterday. So that's good. But, yeah, a lot of Big 12 teams fighting.
Looking at those three teams sitting there, the Big 12, you have to say Oklahoma State probably has the upper hand in terms of schedule this weekend. Oklahoma's got Alabama. West Virginia is who's West Virginia? I'm blanking right now, Zach. West Virginia has Auburn, sorry. And then Oklahoma State has Ole Miss.
Yeah, so Oklahoma State really they can't slip up and lose to Ole Miss.
Yeah, this is a chance for them to get some ground on those other two teams and maybe move to the top of maybe move to that first team that's just outside.
Yeah, that's true.
We'll see.
Big quad one opportunities for West Virginia, Oklahoma, but very tough to win games.
Next four out here, we see the Florida Gators. Florida was a team I was high on to start the year. I thought they had a decent team, and I still think they're not bad, but they're inconsistent. They struggle at times to score the ball.
They're a bit inconsistent. They've been up and down this year. I think they're a little more on the up right now. Blew out South Carolina last night, for whatever that's worth. But humongous. They get to play K-State this weekend. So I think we're really gonna know, like, can Florida really compete, in the tournament? If they can show me at least that they can even hang within, 5, 6, 7 points of K-State, I think that would show a lot.
It's a resume builder this weekend for them. They're in Manhattan, so it's a chance for them to try and get a quad one win on the road. And it'd be nice to be able to.
It's gonna be huge. They need it. They need it.
But that's our bubble, and feels nice to get talk about the bubble. It's been a little bit.
It's been a long time, man.
But let's get back to our bread and butter, what we're best at, and we're going to start talking about the bracket here. We got a fresh new banner right here, 2023 tournament here, because it's a New Year's
New Year.
But as much as we say it's a new year, another team that seems to always be on the one line, the Purdue Boilermakers, they're sitting there again right now, and they're taking on the winner of Morgan State and St. Francis.
Yeah, that's obviously going to be Purdue. Purdue's been terrific this year, led by their freshman guards, and then obviously Zach Edey, who's he's going to probably win National Player of the Year.
He's going to be good.
It's going to be, yeah.
Arkansas and Florida Atlantic. Florida Atlantic sitting there as a 9, Zach.
Florida Atlantic's such a good story this year. They're such a good story. We haven't got to see them play yet, but it seems to me when I'm just looking at their box scores that they use some type of platoon system, kind of like Kentucky did like 10 years ago. And so I think that's really interesting. Arkansas is super. I don't know what to think about them still. Part of me feels like this Arkansas team can turn into something consistent. They're young and they got a lot of transfers like the Mitchell brothers and Nick Smith. We don't even know. It's not looking like he's coming back, but even still, I kind of want to lean Arkansas here just because of the fact that admittedly haven't seen Florida Atlantic play, and we need to because they only have one loss to Ole Miss. But I think Arkansas just
for this purpose, we'll pick the team we know.
Yeah, and tournament success.
Yeah.
We know Musselman when he gets into the tournament. Arkansas is very good in the tournament. Musselman is very good in the tournament.
We got Duke and Kent State here in this game, and Kent State's a decent 12. They've been doing well for those smaller schools so far right now, this season. And this Duke team, Zach and I have said as we've watched ball this year, this Duke team is a team that can go out in the first weekend, and they're also a team that sneakily maybe make an Elite Eight run.
They definitely could, because they have a talent like their center Filipowski. He's fantastic. Jeremy Roach, good point guard. But I feel like in this 5-12 matchup, particularly, because Kent State, they did just lose to Northern Illinois, but Kent State, 3 of their 4 losses are against Houston, St. Mary's, and I'm blanking on the other team. Somebody good, and they hung. Oh, and Gonzaga. Yeah. They almost beat all 3 of those teams. So Kent State, I really don't think is going to be scared of Duke at all. I think they have the defense. I think they have what it takes. This is like a 12-5 game where it just seems like really it could happen. So I like Kent State to win.
We'll send Kent State here. We got Xavier and Marshall and Zach. I'm gonna give you guys a peek behind the curtains a little bit. Zach has been high on Xavier all year, and it sounds like we're jumping in late. It sounds like we're talking about it, but I'll vouch for Zach as he says it. He's been talking Xavier since the jump, basically. And Zach, I'll let you take over now. Talk to us about this game, but talk about Xavier.
Yeah, Will's probably got to the point where he's tired of hearing about Xavier, because I've been talking from the beginning of the year. I've just been excited about the Xavier team, getting Sean Miller back, their old coach. And I got to say, what a pull in the transfer portal to get Sule Boom. He's extremely good.
Weren't expecting that out of him.
No,
he's done.
No, because he's been, he was a high volume scorer at UTEP, but he was a little inefficient. He only shot like 39% from the field. Now with Xavier, because he's playing around all these other guys that are also very good, he's shooting like 50% from the field. He's terrific. But the main thing I like about Xavier, they have 5 guys that all of them can get you 15 points, a whole starting lineup. And Jerome Hunter is also fantastic off the bench. So I love this Xavier team. I think they're super talented, and I definitely think they can get by Marshall.
Xavier. Let's get on a little bit of a run here, Zach. Let's rattle through some of these. Michigan State and Pittsburgh here. We talked about Pitt earlier. Michigan State's a team who, the start of the year, they played a bunch of good teams, hung with a bunch of good teams, took some losses in those games, but they learned a lot. For me, I like that. I think that's experience that pays off as we start getting into the tournament. Right away, I like Michigan State in this game.
Oh, I'm with you. I think the veteran guard play, with Walker and Hogard, is will take them past this game.
Gonzaga, Eastern Washington. I like the Zags right now.
I think the Zags will win this game, but with the way they're playing right now, I wouldn't be surprised if that's somewhat
closer than it's not a blowout.
Probably not. Not right now. Gonzaga could figure it out, but
NC State and Missouri. NC State. Talking about teams that Zach and I have been talking about behind the curtain. NC State's a team Zach and I have been talking about behind the curtain.
That's true. Will was on this one early. Will was, we were talking about teams that we thought were going to be good that weren't as expected. And early on, Will was talking about how NC State reminded him of Miami a bit, just with the guards that they have. And it's a team we both really, really Miami from last year, but also a bit of Miami from this year too. We really like this NC State team just because they have 3 guards that can really score the ball. And so we really like NC State. But I got to also say, Missouri's having a great year.
Great year for Mizzou. It was hard for me a little bit. Zach, we'd be watching the SEC and Mizzou would win games. And the only thing I could think of, admittedly, was I would watch Mizzou. I remembered that thumping that Mizzou took early in the year against Kansas. And as Mizzou would win games, I would sit there and say, well, but how do you get drummed by 30 almost to Kansas at home? But
They just keep winning.
They keep winning, and I
Winning
think
games.
that they're at the point right now where I think they've proven that was a fluke game. They got caught off guard with that game,
Mhm.
and they're a decent team. But that being said, I like NC State in this one.
Yeah, me too.
Kansas State and Samford here. Kansas State.
Yeah, I don't think there's any issues here.
Kansas State and NC State. Now, talk Kansas State for a quick second here, Zach. We just talked NC State, but talk Kansas State for a quick sec.
I think it's awesome to see the resurgence of Kansas State this year. Kansas State hasn't had a season this good in a long time, and it's been a minute even since they've been in the tournament, let alone like getting a 2 seed like they are here. What a grab it was to get Keontae Johnson.
Mm-hmm.
What a job it has been by Jerome Tang to get these guys to this level so fast. But at the same time, in this matchup specifically, you got for Kansas State, Marquise Noel and Keontae Johnson.
Yeah.
There isn't a great third option, super consistent. Naquan Tomlin is good, but I think this NC State Kansas State game is honestly almost 50-50. I think it's that close.
It's a great game.
And so I kind of want to lean NC State just because I think it's that close of a game.
I like the Pack.
And the Pack have so many guys that can score. They have more options to score than Kansas State does.
The Pack are interesting to me this year. And as we get going later in the season, they're going to continue to be interesting to me to watch how they kind of get everything going. But I like the Pack too. Michigan State, Gonzaga. We saw this game really in the first week of the season, basically.
Yeah.
And this is a game where Michigan State hung with them, went to overtime in this game, and Gonzaga ended up pulling it out. But what do you take from that game? That game was played on a ship.
Yeah.
How much can you really take from it? And to be honest with you, I like Michigan State in this game.
Yeah, I don't think you can take a lot from it.
Yeah.
Because like you said, it was played on a carrier, and it's tough. It's not gonna, you're playing outside, things like that. So I don't think you can take a lot from it. But I think the way Gonzaga has been playing has me a little concerned because it's not like it's been just recently. Gonzaga's been concerning several points this year.
Yeah.
And I do think, especially when Tyson Walker is on.
I'm gonna say I love Tyson Walker this year. I think he's taking a step.
He's tremendous this year. He took it like the end of last year. He started playing really good. He's carried that into this year. He's been great. And so, yeah, I like Michigan State too.
Xavier and Kent State here. Xavier, quick one.
I like Xavier, but I think, Kent State's one of the mid majors they can make it interesting, but I like Xavier.
Purdue and Arkansas. I think Purdue has this one. I think Zach Edey.
Yeah. Not enough consistency at Arkansas to really believe in them winning back-to-back there.
Purdue and Xavier here, Zach. You got player of the year potentially versus a team that you could almost call one of the surprises of the year to this point in Xavier. Who do you like?
It's tough. I think it's a good matchup between Zach Edey and Jack Nunge. Those are two huge dudes. Nunge at 7'1", Edey at 7'4", but I think this one I'm really torn on. I could see it going either way. I do lean Xavier still. I think Xavier has more. They got more scoring options, but man, Purdue really defends this year though too. They really defend. Where last year they struggled to defend some, but this year they defend and they know that what they're doing. I don't know. I'll defer this one to you, Will. Who would you? I'm okay either way.
Coin flip game. Great game. Purdue has experience with their team. They've gone far before. Well, not gone far, but they've been in tournaments before. Xavier didn't make the tournament last year. They won the NIT.
Yeah, that was big.
I like Purdue.
You like Purdue? We can go Purdue.
I like Purdue.
That's a coin flip game in my eyes completely, but
yeah. Michigan State, NC State here, and the Pack again.
Yeah, let's go Pack, even though let's go Pack. They definitely they don't have that tournament experience, and they don't have a coach like Tom Izzo, so Tom Izzo could easily
be tough.
It'd be tough for him.
But I think if we get through this Kansas State game with NC State, there's something magical going on with them.
Yeah, there's something they're getting on a roll here at this point. And Michigan State does struggle to score the ball at times. So yeah, NC State.
This Elite Eight matchup right here. Now the struggle and the weak point for NC State is in the post.
Yep.
And Zach Edey's going to eat in this game.
It's true because they really only have DJ Burns is their one big that gets a lot of minutes that is at least decent, and so they get eaten alive. I think Purdue would win this one.
Purdue wins this one
fairly easily for
comfortably.
an Elite Eight game.
Tennessee here in this bottom region here against Siena. Siena's a team Zach has had some interest in this year.
Yeah, I've actually seen them play like watched 3 or 4 random games of them. But I think they're good for a 16 seed.
Mhm.
They're athletically, they're not going to match up with Tennessee. So
I like the Vols.
Tennessee.
Clemson and Wisconsin. This is a great 8-9 game. We don't like Zach and I. We want to watch more Clemson. Don't really know what Clemson is.
Yeah, they're an older team. They have experience on this team. They got a lot of veterans, and they play a lot of. They're pretty long. They're pretty long and athletic. They're having a great year. Yeah, I could go Clemson
You like
though.
Clemson?
Yeah, I could go Clemson.
Okay. Rutgers and VCU. Rutgers again. They're slowly and but surely right now starting to become a constant tournament team right now at the Big Ten.
Yeah, these past 3 years have been 3, 4 years have been tremendous for Rutgers, and I am a huge fan of this team. They play defense super well. I mean, you got Caleb McConnell, one Big Ten player, defensive player of the year. I think Rutgers would get the job done there.
I like the Scarlet Knights. Marquette and Seattle. The Fighting Shaka Smarts are a team I've liked again this year. I've talked a little bit about them throughout the year. As Zach and I have talked about games, about possible upset games in discussions. Marquette's a team I picked a couple of times and they've hit both times I've picked them.
Yeah, they had a big win against Baylor earlier in the year.
Yeah.
That was unexpected.
Tickets were like $2 for that game one day.
They
were insanely cheap.
Yeah, there wasn't a ton of hype about Marquette early in the year, but they are, they found their way
They're
up to
sitting
the
there
4
still.
seed.
They're at a 4 seed too.
A ton of good wins.
They're the same rank right now as Xavier.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's kind of crazy.
That's interesting to me. But I like Marquette in this game.
Yeah, Marquette works.
Auburn and Arizona State Northwestern. That's an interesting playing game. You said that right away when we saw it.
Yeah, it's fun to see Northwestern in because traditionally Northwestern's been terrible. So I like the fact that they're in, but I think Auburn's a little too athletic. I think Auburn's just a little too tough for either of those teams.
Let's clip that point in the video. Everyone's going to want to hear that. Zach singing the praises of Auburn, but Virginia here in Princeton.
Just with the way Virginia plays, it definitely could be close. But let's go Virginia. Let's go Virginia. But when Virginia plays, I really like Virginia this year. But just when you play so slow and you limit possessions the way they do, it's always going to be an issue of upsets.
I'll tell you though, if Cornell ever finds a way to get into that spot, Cornell's going to Providence here in Memphis. I like the Tigers. I like the Fighting Penny Hardaway's.
You like them? Okay. This is one I was torn on because Providence fights so hard.
Yeah.
Ed Cooley always gets guys that are just dogs that are gonna fight. It'd be close, but Memphis would work.
KU and UMass Lowell.
Yeah, KU.
But KU and Memphis. And Zach, this is trouble for KU.
You think so?
I think so. I think in the post it's gonna be trouble. I love KJ Adams. If you've watched our channel, you would remember last year me singing the praises of KJ Adams when no one talked about KJ Adams. But we struggle inside, and Memphis has that inside presence.
They do. Yeah, DeAndre Williams, like one of the oldest players in college basketball. He's been good. He's been really good. And then getting Kendrick Davis is huge too. So,
and we're judging this based off of what we see out of the teams right now. It's tough to pick Kansas to win this game based off what we're seeing right now out of this Kansas team coming off 3 straight losses. It could look a lot different come March, and it will look a lot different come March. Bill's going to get the boys in order, and Kansas is going to be all right. But right now,
you take Memphis if it happened now.
If you're talking this game happening on Saturday, I would take Memphis.
Okay, the Memphis, yeah.
Auburn and Virginia.
That's the Final Four from 2019. That was a heck of a game.
What do you like in this game, Zach?
Oh man, as much as I'm usually skeptical of Auburn, and I really still don't believe in them that much, saying they just got beat by a decent bit at home last night. I still don't necessarily believe in them. This is a game that would go right down to the wire, I believe.
Wendell Green gets his boys in order.
May let's go Auburn. Well, it's like one of the only times I'm ever gonna have Auburn in the Sweet 16 in these because I don't believe in them.
It's a good line for them. It's a good lie.
This is good for them. And that would be a great game, Auburn, Virginia.
Rutgers and Marquette.
We're going to be split on this. I think Will's going to be more towards Marquette. I'm going to be a little more towards Rutgers.
I'm only a slightly to Marquette.
I like I could see either. This is another great
Yeah,
game.
it's a really good game.
You know, I like Rutgers here a little bit just from a perspective of the way they play defense.
Mhm.
And I think their coach, Steve Peichel, he's one of the best coaches in the country. The fact that he's brought Rutgers to the point they're at now is like insane.
Well, they should have been a Final Four almost a few years ago.
Yeah, yeah. If they would have beat Houston in that 21
So
tournament,
he's
probably.
got that program in order. I like.
Let's go
I can go
Rutgers in a
Rutgers. I
close
can
one.
go with you on Rutgers.
It'd be interesting.
Tennessee and Clemson. The balls.
I like the Vols there. I think Clemson they play good defense, so I think it'd be a low scoring game. But let's go Tennessee.
Tennessee and Rutgers. What do you like here?
This would be interesting. This would be a good game. I think this is where Rutgers would probably struggle just with a bit of the length, even though you know Rutgers has decent length, but I think you'd probably see Rutgers struggle a little bit in this one. So let's go Tennessee and probably another dogfight game.
Auburn and Memphis. And after a week, so they get the break now. You're coming back. Can Auburn carry it into a second weekend?
I kind of want to go Memphis here. I'm not even joking. I kind of do. I think because Memphis and Auburn played earlier. Auburn won by 3. No, Memphis won by
I'm not sure.
one of them
I can
won by
pull that- I
3.
can get that for you. You keep going though.
Yeah, one of them won by 3, and I remember it was a good game. I remember I saw snippets of the game live. But yeah, it was. I think
Memphis by 3.
Memphis
no, not even by 3, by 9.
by 9.
82-73.
You know, okay, so it was by 9. Yeah, I think
It
Memphis
was a close game though.
I think Memphis
I
would
remember that
repeat
game.
it. I think Memphis would actually repeat it. I think Memphis is going to start racking up wins soon, like more and more. I think they're going to keep winning. I think they're kind of a sleeper team right now. I kind of like Memphis there.
Memphis taking on Tennessee now in this game, and man, that state's gonna be rocking for that game.
Holy crap, yeah, that'd be
It's a
crazy.
cross-state rivalry, and Zach, I'm gonna say something to you that when you and I are talking basketball and we get these kind of games, I always say the smaller school. Not that Memphis is that much smaller than Tennessee, but you got a Power 5 school versus a mid-major school, kind of. The smaller school always kind of comes out with a chip on their shoulder in these games.
They do a lot of times, especially in an in-state rivalry.
Would it carry over to an Elite Eight? I mean, you look back at one of the examples that comes right to the top of my mind. You think the Wichita State and you think the Kansas game, Wichita State, Kansas, when they met in the tournament.
That's a good point.
And everyone picked Kansas. That was a good Kansas team, but Wichita State it meant more to them.
So you think you want to roll with Memphis? Like from a strictly a matchup point of view, you could see it because I do like Memphis does have a couple of good bigs, especially I really like DeAndre Williams overall. And in Memphis, the thing to their benefit, they're super old. And older teams generally do better in the tournament. And Memphis almost beat Gonzaga.
I was gonna say last year was close for Memphis to go far.
And they definitely lost some pieces from that team last year. There's some new faces on this Memphis team. But you know what? Let's go with Memphis.
I like it. That's so interesting to me if that actually lined up.
It's
that
true.
Would be talked about and it would be hyped up like crazy. Houston here and SIU Edwards. Houston.
Yep.
The Cougs. UNC and Creighton. Creighton is a team
I love this Creighton team.
I think you've been saying you're thinking they're hit their stride.
Oh, they're the greatest. I've been saying this every loss they've got. They're the greatest 8-loss team. They're the greatest 6-loss. Like it doesn't matter. Creighton they're playing better now, so that it doesn't apply as much now because I guarantee they're gonna be above a 9 seed. This Creighton team's finally living up to the expectations. I think with UNC, they're starting to play a bit better themselves. But, Caleb Love, if I'm a UNC fan, he stresses me out. He just the poor shot selection and everything. I think Creighton just has a little more pieces, honestly.
I think before the game, you play the second half mixtape from Caleb Love in the tournament game or in the finals last year.
Yeah.
And Creighton wins that game.
Probably.
But here we go. We got Indiana and Oral Roberts. Indiana, Oral Roberts.
No, the thing is with this another 12-5 where I'm really liking. Or I'd like Oral Roberts here because especially as long as Oral Roberts can limit Trace Jackson Davis, I think you're really going to see Indiana struggle. Because if Trace Jackson Davis, he has been like putting Indiana like on his back like none other. Last night he put up 25 and 21. It's just insane what he's been doing lately. And if Oral Roberts, game plans and shuts down Trace Jackson Davis, it'd be a close game and it'd be 50-50. So for the upset's sake, I'd say
Let's go
Oral
Oral
Roberts.
Roberts again. The team, what was that 2020? 2021,
Yeah.
their run over Ohio State.
Mhm.
Keep it going, run it back
Let's
every
go.
other year. TCU, we got Oral Roberts twice here, but
It's UC Santa Barbara.
UC Santa
who they
Barbara.
play, but TCU,
TCU.
they've been playing so well, and they're a team that we believed in for a long time now,
We're
going back to last year. Even.
working out the kinks, guys. It's our first episode back. We're here for you though. Miami and Maryland. We like the Canes.
Oh, I love the Canes still. We were big on them last year. I'm big on them again. I like the Canes. Maryland's had an interesting year though. It's been up and down.
Colgate and Iowa State. I like Iowa State.
I like Iowa State. I think the way they play defense is just spectacular.
San Diego State and College of Charleston.
What a season from College of Charleston!
What a season! I've seen San Diego State live in person this year. I saw them play UNLV at UNLV this year.
They handled them pretty.
It was
solidly,
a good game.
right?
It was a good game. It was a tough game for the pretty much the entire stretch, but San Diego State led for most of that game. They're a decent team. Question is going to be scoring. What does this game look like?
Yeah, it'd be an interesting game. I would lean San Diego State just because the fact that San Diego State gets in the tournament so often. And I think they're actually still like not meeting their expectations fully yet. I still think this team could be even better than that 7 line. So I like San Diego State.
UCLA taking on Milwaukee here, and I don't think we're picking an upset yet for UCLA.
No, if they shoot the ball like that against Arizona on last Saturday, but Arizona had a big part in that. But yeah, let's go UCLA.
We got the SoCal battle here with San Diego State taking on UCLA.
I could see it going either way. I definitely could, but we'll go with the experience that because UCLA still has Hawkes and Campbell, 2 guys that have been to the Final Four. Close to the Final Four last year as well, or Sweet 16, but they couldn't.
They have enough weapons where it's 2 conflicting styles. UCLA wants to go score. San Diego State wants to slow that game to a crawl and just go defend. I think the scoring finds a way to get it.
Yeah, and I think UCLA can play both styles too. They've shown that they can play a slower style, so I like UCLA, bro.
Battle of the extreme weather here. We got the Miami Hurricanes and the Iowa State Cyclones.
Oh, that's kind of crazy. And they played last year too, didn't they? Yeah, they did.
They did.
Yeah.
Miami took that game. Do you think it happens again, or do you think Iowa State wins this game?
I think this Iowa State team is considerably better this year. I think kind of as of right now, I'd go revenge.
Revenge game for Iowa State.
Iowa State needs Caleb Grill to get healthy again. He's just his back's bothering him, and they need him back because he's such a good 3-point shooter.
Oral Roberts taking on TCU here. Oral Roberts, what do you think?
I think TCU's got too many guys. Mike Miles Jr. been phenomenal. Great wings for TCU. Let's go TCU.
TCU gets another game here. They got a big win over K-State this week. 2 back-to-back big wins. They drummed Kansas in fog,
which is a rare thing.
I was gonna say, when do you see that happen?
Very rare.
But we'll see. Houston and Creighton. We talked about this game earlier when we weren't on camera. You like this game, Zach?
I like it a lot because obviously I'm always a big believer in Houston and Kelvin Sampson. But I think if Creighton can limit the offensive rebounding that Houston does, because we all know Houston's phenomenal on the offensive glass. That's where they make up for a lot of things because they dominate the glass typically. As long as Creighton doesn't let them offensive rebound, then I think you neutralize them. And then from that point, I think there's just more weapons on Creighton. So I lean as long as they keep them off the glass. Now, we're saying they keep them off the glass and they neutralize them there. And then you can, not allow like Sasser to get hot from 3 or something like that. I think Creighton would win the game.
We can go with Creighton.
So
I like it. Creighton and TCU here.
I'd love to see this game.
It'd be interesting. You got a week to prepare for it too, or a few days to prepare for it. What gets drawn up? It's super. Creighton could have went far last year. I was close. Kansas's best game in the tournament was against Creighton.
It was. Creighton looked great, and that was without Nimhard.
Yeah,
which is crazy to think about. I think the advantage here Mike Miles is fantastic for TCU, but the advantage here might be with Kalkbrenner in the post on Lampkin.
It's
Lampkin's pretty good.
very different posts.
Very different posts, but I think I lean Creighton here.
Yeah.
I lean Creighton here.
Okay, let's go Creighton. We got Iowa State and UCLA. I like this cycle.
I do get worried.
Unconvincingly.
I'm slightly concerned about Iowa State scoring at times.
Yeah,
because they are a little bit. The defense is so good though that it always keeps them in games. But I am worried that one of these times that they just can't find enough scoring.
Yeah,
makes me kind of want to lean UCLA. I really like this Iowa State team, but I feel like UCLA, sadly.
Okay, UCLA. We got Creighton and UCLA here. What do you like?
Wow, this is tough. This one's tough. UCLA Creighton. Right off the head.
Take the heart out of it.
Let's go UCLA because I feel like my heart's too much into Creighton. Let's go UCLA. But I will say it would be a heck of a game.
It would be. And to be honest, I don't know how much I believe that UCLA gets this far. Like, just how much you trust them always. But
I trust them quite a bit this year.
You trust them this year?
I like them this year.
Okay. We'll send UCLA this far. We got them in the Final Four. And the last quarter here, we got Alabama against the winner of Southern and Nichols. I like Nichols in this game.
Yeah, let's go.
No, I like Bama. Last year, Bama was a team that I talked a lot about on the podcast. I talked a lot about them and I liked them. And I thought they had Final Four potential if they hit their peak last year. Now, obviously, they could never hit their peak a lot of the time and they flamed out in the tournament. But I think this Alabama team is as good, if not better. Probably better.
A lot better than last year's team. A lot better. And that's due to Brandon Miller. Also, just better decision-making in general on this Bama team this year. And so, yeah, definitely Bama.
Iowa and New Mexico. New Mexico, the Lobos. They started out good this year. A tough loss, as you know, apparently, according to the TV broadcast, it's hard to play at Fresno State.
That's what the commentator, we were laughing. We were like, hard to win at Fresno State. What are you talking about?
The empty seats there make a lot of noise.
But they responded well though after that. They've been winning games. They've been playing a lot better lately. I love New Mexico. If you guys haven't seen them much, they are super fun to watch because of their guards, Jalen House and Jamal Mashburn. They're super talented guys. I like New Mexico.
Send them.
Just from the Iowa time, Iowa's been really up and down. Iowa has the worst loss in college basketball history, according to the spread. This year, they lost to Eastern Illinois, and they were 31-point favorites. So, Iowa. Not that I'm taking everything off that game, but it shows that Iowa can struggle sometimes. So, I like New Mexico.
Let's take something in this next game before we talk about the actual game. Or before we talk about the 64 game, let's talk about the 68 game, Kentucky and Penn State. I like Kentucky.
Yeah, I do too.
Okay, so now we got Kentucky, UConn.
Wow, that'd be a
very good game.
Great game. We talked about the battle of the bigs. That's what we would kind of briefly have talked about because Sonogo's having such a good year. Shibwe at times has been really great and at times has been quiet this year. Less consistent this year than he was last year.
Here's the thing with Kentucky. We talked about it in our preseason video. They're led by a lot of young players. They were going to take a while to figure it out. We didn't know what Kentucky was going to look like. They're starting, as the trend goes when you got young teams, it's rough early. You got to figure yourself out. And slowly but surely, Kentucky's starting to maybe figure themselves out. Now, they got a big game, as we talked about on Saturday, hosting Kansas. That sounded terrible. Hosting Kansas at Rupp. This Kansas team is coming off a big game where they just got drummed and embarrassed at home. What does Kentucky come out with? Does Kentucky come out, lay the throttle, and keep this Kansas team down, or do they win? That tells me a lot about Kentucky. But in terms of this game right here of Kentucky and UConn, I
personally like Kentucky over UConn here. I think UConn's been cold lately, but even without taking that out of consideration, I just think Kentucky's gonna continue to improve. They're gonna continue to get better, Wallace and everything. So I like Kentucky in a great game. It could go either way.
It could go either way. You look at what UConn did last night. They almost came back from 17 points down to beat Xavier.
Yeah.
So you never know. But Baylor and Liberty here, and the Bears.
The Bears, but Liberty, Liberty's one of those teams that I wouldn't be shocked if it was an upset. But let's go Baylor.
St. Mary's and Ohio State.
Ohio State's too inconsistent for me to love them right now. St. Mary's, they at year in and year out, they stick to their game plan. They stick to how they play. They're not bothered. So I like St. Mary's.
Texas and Southern Illinois. Texas is a team at the start of the year. I skipped over them in our video, but they're a team I liked. Now it's a little different this year. For the rest of the year, without Chris Beard as their head coach, in that situation that is going on in the program, they've moved on from Chris Beard and they have a new coach.
And it hasn't affected them much.
It hasn't. Texas has kind of just kept going, kept doing their thing. Oh, they're kind of focused on the year right now. And I'm starting to say, all right, I like Texas a little bit again. I can buy back in on Texas.
Because they've shown that it didn't affect them really, like I thought it might.
I didn't know what it was going to do, but it didn't really affect them right now. So let's go Texas here. Illinois and Boise State.
I like Illinois here. Boise State's had a great year though, especially after losing 2 of their starters from last year. I think it's really impressive what they've done again this year. I think Illinois just has a little too much talent, a little too much size, just too much everything.
The line, I get it. Arizona and UNC Asheville. I like Arizona.
Yeah, Arizona.
Arizona and Illinois. Illinois played last year in the season. Arizona won that game.
And a good one. Go again.
I kind of like this Arizona team a little bit, Zach. I'm not gonna lie.
I like this Arizona team. Super, super talented again. Tommy Lloyd? What a job he's done his first couple of years. Especially after losing 3 guys to the NBA. Arizona's been great.
They've regrouped and they've retooled.
And right now, Illinois hasn't made a Sweet 16 in a while now, even with all the success that they've had in the regular season lately. They still haven't made it. And I think for now, we're going to say they're not going to get it done again.
Send it back. The Illinois poster over my shoulder here is going to be very sad. It'll look poorly upon Zach.
I know. It's sad. Terrence Shannon's sad back there.
We got St. Mary's here taking on Texas. And I kind of like Texas again, Zach. I talked about them a little bit earlier.
Yes, Texas has a ton of guys, ton of options. So let's go Texas.
Could be anyone on that Texas team that wins that game or plays well. We got Kentucky and Baylor. And stop me if you've heard me say this before. The matchup in the paint is going to be what could decide this game of Shibwe against the small interior of Baylor.
Yeah. Baylor doesn't have a ton of great dominant bigs. Blothamba, pretty good at defense, but he gets in foul trouble every single game. I think Baylor's playing better ball, and it wouldn't be surprising. But with the way Kentucky's playing now, Shibwe starts dominating. Maybe a lot of shooters on both sides. Let's go Kentucky.
It sounds a little similar to last year.
Yeah,
it sounds a little similar to that lineup of Armando Bacot sitting there waiting in the 32 for Baylor. Now you get Oscar Shibwe this year, sitting there waiting for you in the 32. Yeah. And I think it's a repeat of what happened last year.
Yeah. Luckily, Baylor's healthy this year, so that'll help them out. Alabama
taking on New Mexico. I like the Tide this year, Zach.
Oh, they're so good. I like Bama too. I think defensively this can be just too much.
We got another all SEC game here. We got Alabama taking on Kentucky. And the Tide keep rolling for me, Zach.
Yeah, I think so too. I think because Bama has good bigs too. They got a plethora of good bigs. Bediako, Clowney. Well, not Clowney, but forgetting the other dude's name. I was just watching them a lot. But Bama, I think Bama gets it done.
Texas taking on Arizona.
I like Texas actually. I like Texas because Arizona at times has laid some eggs, and they've lost to some teams that it's a little concerning that they've lost to, like Washington State, for example. Let's go Texas in what would be a great game.
Alabama taking on Texas here, and I like Bama. I think Bama can do it this year, Zach.
You like Bama? I could almost went Texas, but let's go Bama. Bama, the only thing that worries me sometimes is if Brandon Miller gets completely shut down, like who's gonna?
Is Texas gonna do that to him?
Texas got a good defense like that, but pretty good. They allowed 116 to K-State that one game, but it's still pretty good. We can go Bama. We'll go Bama for now.
UCLA and Alabama, and let's start with this one. What do you like?
I think UCLA would have it almost better than most teams at stopping Brandon Miller. Jalen Clark, good defender. Jaime Jaquez, good defender. So I think UCLA, and they also have one of the best defensive coaches in Mick Cronin.
Mhm.
He was amazing at Cincinnati. He's been great with UCLA. Surprisingly, because I really don't talk about UCLA much, and even though they lost on Saturday, I'm starting to actually kind of believe in them a little bit.
Yeah.
Some reason I don't know why. I feel like they could stop Brandon Miller, which would change a lot. And
Oh,
I feel like
game changer for
it'd be
you.
it would force maybe Sears to step up. I don't know. I think UCLA wins though.
UCLA gets it. Purdue and Memphis here, and Zach, I like Purdue.
Yeah, I think Purdue would probably get it done. It's
I-
kind of crazy to put Purdue because Purdue never gets to the Final Four, and so we got them in the championship. But hey, it's got to happen sometime.
Purdue and UCLA. Do we see the Pac-12 become the conference of champions again, Zach,
Once again.
or do we see Purdue get over the hump and get there this year?
The only thing I'm worried about is Purdue having like freshman guards, but they act like they're older than freshman guards, so it makes me almost want to believe in them. But I think, who do you think, Will? Who do you feel?
Let's say it on three.
All right.
We'll go with it. 1, 2, 3. Purdue.
Oh, my bad. I was
Okay.
thinking, oh, my bad. Let's go. I was gonna say we could go Purdue. Yeah, let's do Purdue.
Yeah, you like Purdue? All right.
Just a little bit.
Purdue, give me a score, Zach.
It'd probably be low scoring. Let's go like 66-62.
66-62. Purdue wins the first edition of ZW Sports Nation's Bracketology this year. As we mentioned, guys, we're going to be back here throughout the season. Zach and I have a schedule kind of made out now. We're going to get going with that stuff, but we're excited to have you guys back. We're excited to be here with you guys and get going as we lead up to March Madness and as the season gets going. Give us a like, give us a subscribe, comment what you guys think. Give us your takes. It's been a while since we've talked with you guys. What are you guys liking? What are you guys seeing this year? And we look forward to seeing you guys again.
Yeah, it was great making the video again. We appreciate you guys. Yeah, comment whoever you feel like is gonna be great this year. Who's been playing great. We're excited to be with you guys again.
All right, we'll see you guys later.
All right, peace.